And she said, it's the left.
Good morning, Commissioner. When you have a moment, would you mind giving us a little audio directions?
Oh, goodness. We can suit you in there. Yeah, I said, what are you telling me? Dude, he was laughing. It's funny. You don't know him very well. I do. Yeah. That's funny.
All right, we good?
You're good.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the February 19th, 2025 Tarrant County Commissioners Court meeting. I now call the meeting to order.
Tim O'Hare, County Judge.
Present.
Roderick Miles Jr., Commissioner Precinct 1.
Here.
Elisa Simmons, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Matt Krause, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Present.
Manny Ramirez, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Okay, today's invocation will be led by no stranger to Tarrant County, pastor of Transfiguration Church of All Nations, Chris Iafor. Please rise for the invocation and the pledges.
Good morning, court members. It's always a pleasure to come back home. Good to meet you, Commissioner Matt and Commissioner Roderick. I missed you today, and Commissioner Simmons. Thank you all for the opportunity, George, for me to give the invocation this morning. Let's bow our head to our Lord. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, this morning, Lord, this assembly would not be possible without you giving us a fresh new day. We thank you, God, for your goodness. We thank you, Father, because you are the God of Tarrant County. You're the God of our state and the God of this great nation. And this morning, Father, as your humble servants, those that you have chosen, Father, to serve in this time, as they are assembled here this morning, Father, to discuss and debate and make decisions to run our county, I ask, Father, that you will be present. Father, I ask that you, in the spiritual area, will co-chair this meeting this morning. Give utterance, and Father, give understanding and wisdom to our judge, to all our court members and our elected officials, and all the citizens gathered this morning. Father, that as you said in Amos 3:3, two cannot work together unless they be in agreement. To that end, God, we say there's agreement this morning, and Father, we proclaim this assembly whole as we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag. Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Chris. So for our meeting today, since we have two virtual, Mr. Merritt, and will you also look? If they raise their hand, will you just let me know so I can let them speak? Okay. Agenda announcements.
Good morning, court members. A couple of quick announcements here. The first announcement, under the criminal district attorney section, item E1, we're going to hold that item until after closed.
Regular or consent?
That is currently on individual consideration, not consent.
Okay. E1, got it.
And then we have 4 items which are being pulled from the consent agenda. The first one is item C2 under budget and risk management. Also C7 under budget and risk management. Item K20 under purchasing. And item L1 under the sheriff section.
C2, C7, K20, and L1 all removed from consent.
That is correct, sir.
Got it?
That's it.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
sir.
you,
Do we have any announcements from commissioners?
Yes, I have an announcement.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I would like to announce our 11th annual prostate cancer education and screening event coming this Saturday, February the 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Moncrief Cancer Institute located on Magnolia Avenue. This is our 11th year doing this event. In the past 10 years, we've been able to serve over 10,000 men with providing free PSA screening blood tests, providing free breakfast and free lunch at no expense to the taxpayers. This is a great event. Every year that we've done it, we've been able to help someone who has had an elevated PSA level to get the resources and connected to a urologist through either JPS or our friends at Moncrief. We are indeed saving lives with our Healthy Lives Matter prostate education and screening event. Some of our partners include the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Dallas Stars. And we'll have representatives from each one of those organizations this Saturday. So, ladies, bring the men that you love to make sure that they know what their health status is in regards to their prostate. Bring the family. It's going to be a great time. We'll have vendors there. We'll be giving away swag items from each one of those teams, and we'll have some representatives from the teams at the event too. Can't wait to see you there. Thank you again, Judge.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, Judge, and good morning. I do have a few announcements here. I would like for this county and this court to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Judge Clifford Davis. Judge Davis passed away Saturday at the age of 100. Judge Davis's passing reminds us that we still are only a single generation away from segregation in Texas public schools. This great man is the reason that Black children and white children and Hispanic children are able to sit in Tarrant County classrooms together and learn. L. Clifford Davis was a young attorney who had recently completed his studies at Howard University Law School when he represented 5 Black students who Mansfield Independent School District refused to allow to entered Mansfield High School back in 1956. This was 2 years after the historic Brown versus the Topeka Board of Education Supreme Court decision that ruled public school segregation was unconstitutional. Attorney Davis won the case, and Mansfield ISD begrudgingly admitted those students to enter. Mr. Davis then turned his attention to Fort Worth ISD, and he forced both school districts to integrate. His legal work led to the integration of public schools across this great state. Mr. Davis later became the first Black judge in Tarrant County. He continued maintaining a legal office there in Fort Worth until his death last weekend. And so I hope you all will join me in remembering the contributions of civil rights great, the Honorable Judge L. Clifford Davis. Thank you. Over in Precinct 2, I am inviting small business owners and local businesses, anyone wanting to do business with Tarrant County, to come out to my next town hall. It will be Thursday evening, February 27th, at the Tarrant County Sub-Courthouse in Arlington. So come out and gain some insight into navigating the business landscape and into assessing economic opportunities in Tarrant County. And finally, I invite all to check your kidney health by being screened for chronic kidney disease. I partnered with the National Kidney Foundation, the Mid-Cities chapter of the Links Incorporated, and the Moncrief Cancer Institute, along with a myriad of local healthcare providers, to bring you this second annual Kidney Wellness and Health Expo. This event will be Saturday, March 15th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sub-Courthouse in Arlington. You can pick up a registration card outside the chambers today, or you can register online at my county website, or on Eventbrite. You can search Kidney Wellness. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Judge
other?
Rick, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Forgive me.
You're good.
May I ask that we close out today's court session with a moment of silence in recognition of Judge Clifford Davis?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any other announcements from commissioners?
I've got one. I'm excited. As of yesterday, we have a precinct administrator in Precinct 3. Mike Garcia has joined our staff, and I am incredibly excited. He's very hardworking, diligent, brilliant guy, and you always try to hire people smarter than you, and we've done that on this one. And so welcome, Mike. We're excited to have you. It's going to be a great partnership in Precinct 3, so glad to have you here.
Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Mike. So I'll make a few announcements about our trip to the Capitol. Was that last week? Was that the week before? Last week. Yeah. So it was known as Tarrant County Days at the Capitol last week, and put on each session by either the Arlington Chamber of Commerce or the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce, but both help each other. So this one was put on by the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce, and I was there. I think every commissioner was there. We had some good meetings with legislators. I can speak to my meetings. I had a nice long meeting with the Lieutenant Governor. Also, Commissioner Kraus and I had a meeting with the House Appropriations Chair. I had a meeting with Senator Paul Betancourt. Of course, we saw all our Tarrant County folks, which we talk to them regularly anyway. Commissioner Ramirez and Commissioner Kraus met with the new Speaker of the House. When it comes to mental health, hospital beds, things, you never know what the legislature is going to do. You never know where things will go, what will change, what will transpire. But I feel pretty good that we will have several $1 million that will go towards mental health beds for Tarrant County. I cannot tell you there will be a mental health hospital. I cannot tell you there will be a new building built, but I can tell you that I feel pretty confident that there's going to be significant dollars invested by the state 4 beds, and we are in the process of locating beds. There's 50 at a facility here in Tarrant County that are literally available now. So we're working on the funding with the state, and hopefully we'll have something passed that'll help us there. We also talked about property tax relief. We also talked about a couple of cleanup issues, and I'll just bring this to people's attention to know. They passed a bill in 2023 that required a voting location during a general election at what amounts to basically every 2 precincts where you have a voter on election day. And in 2022, we had, I believe, if my numbers are accurate, 219 voting locations on election day. In 2024, with the new bill, we had, I think we were required to have 347. We added a couple of different ones. So I think we ended up at 349, but that is massive overkill on election day. We had less than 20% of the vote occurred on election day. So there's a bill already in the works. I think it's Senator Betancourt who's working on it, but we're going to try to get that number reduced where it's not mandatory. It could save us up to $300,000 annually and will not cause longer lines or issues with voting. Would also free up some more funding for probably some additional early voting locations. So there's a bill working through the legislature there, which I think is a good idea for us to do. Okay, that's it for announcements. Next, we go to our proclamations, resolutions, and presentations section. The first resolution is to honor Bob Jones, who owned quite a bit of land in Southlake, and several things named after him, including the fields where my kids play softball, soccer, and other sports. So, Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, Judge. So during Black History Month, I had a resolution honoring the enduring fortitude, resilience, and legacy of North Texas settler Bob Jones, who has, along with his descendants, left an indelible mark in Southlake. The family of Mr. Jones had planned to join us this morning. However, the threat of inclement weather prevented the senior adults from making the trek. So I hope they are watching YouTube. I think my staff tried to get them set up on YouTube. So I'll begin. Whereas John Dolford Bob Jones came to North Texas somewhere around 1859 from a farm near Fort Smith, Arkansas, with his white father, Leazer Jones, slave mother, Elizabeth, and his siblings, and Bob's father purchased land in the Medlin community near today's Roanoke and lived there with Bob's mother and their children. And in 1865, after the Civil War, Leazer set free his black family on a hill southeast of the Jones family farm in what is present-day Westlake. And Bob and his brother Jim bought 60 acres of land from their father, then started a cattle and farming operation. Later, they purchased land farther east along what is now the Tarrant-Denton County line within the cities of Trophy Club, Southlake, and Grapevine. Bob and his wife, Almeda Chisholm, the biracial daughter of cattle baron John Chisholm, became one of North Texas's largest ranching families by owning between 1,000 and 2,000 acres, free and clear, stretching from present-day North Fort Worth to beyond Grapevine Lake. And whereas in 1902, the Jones family built Mount Carmel Baptist Church near Southlake's Bob Jones Road and White's Chapel Boulevard, and in 1920 built Walnut Road School for Black children at the present site of Bob Jones Nature Center and Preserve in Southlake. And in the 1940s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers planned the Grapevine Lake and Dam project and took hundreds of acres of Jones family land by eminent domain. Yet the family persevered, and in 1948 opened a prosperous livestock sale barn in South Lake, and in 1949 opened the Jones Cafe, which is thought to be the first integrated restaurant in Texas. And whereas Bob Jones's son, Jinx, served in the all-black 24th Infantry as a famed Buffalo soldier during World War II, and his grandson, Dr. Bobby Jones, served as Tarrant County Public Health's chief epidemiologist from 1995 to 2005. And both descendants are examples of a continued legacy of Jones family contributions to the early settlement, economic development, environmental preservation, military protection, and philanthropic offerings to Tarrant County. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby encourage all residents to recognize Black History Month by celebrating the indomitable spirit and unconquerable resolve of the Bob Jones family. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 19th day of February 2025. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote. I guess I should say cast your vote if present. For those not present, if you are voting in the affirmative, please raise your hand. Okay, so that would pass unanimously. The next item is a resolution to prioritize literacy in all ISDs and a call to implement actionable plans to ensure all students read at grade level. Commissioner Ramirez.
Yes, I'm very, very excited today to announce this resolution and seek guidance from this court. We have a great group of folks coming for a press event at 4:30 this afternoon. Our partners from local ISDs, local police departments, and folks that are really passionate about this issue. They'll be here to join us at 4:30 this afternoon, so we look forward to welcoming anybody else who'd like to come back. It'll just be a resolution, and we'll present this later on. Whereas the Tarrant County Commissioners Court is committed to promoting the safety and prosperity of all residents, recognizing that education and literacy are foundational to achieving these goals. And whereas research shows that literacy is the most critical skill for academic and life success, with reading proficiency serving as a cornerstone for educational achievement, career readiness, and lifelong opportunities. And whereas statistics reveal the strong correlation between low literacy levels and increased likelihood of criminal behavior, including approximately 80% of Texas prison inmates are reported to be functionally illiterate, 85% of all juveniles within the juvenile court system are functionally illiterate, high school dropouts are 5 times more likely to be arrested in their lifetime, and according to the National Assessment of Adult Literacy, 2/3 of students who cannot read proficiently by the end of the 4th grade will end up in jail or on welfare. Whereas addressing literacy early can significantly reduce the risk and improve educational outcomes, are a proven deterrent to criminal behavior and a pathway to better futures for our children. And whereas achieving grade level literacy is not only an educational imperative, but a moral obligation to the children and families of Tarrant County. And whereas this resolution reflects the court's firm belief that improving literacy is a shared responsibility with far-reaching benefits for the educational, economic, health, and safety of Tarrant County. And whereas school districts across the nation have demonstrated that significant and rapid improvements in literacy rates are possible through focused, evidence-based strategies and collaboration. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, call on all independent school districts to make student literacy their highest priority and to develop and implement a detailed, results-driven plan that ensures universal grade-level literacy. In witness hereof, we have hereunto set our hand and caused the great seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 19th day of February 2025. I move for approval.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All right, those present voting in favor, vote the normal way. Those not present, raise your hand if you're voting for it. Okay, let's see how we're doing that. Okay, passes unanimously. There's no presentation on that today?
No, so today at 4:30, we will have an incredible group of community partners and advocates join us right here in the courtroom to discuss this further and to present this resolution. But I'm very excited to have many local ISDs, Eagle Mountain, Azle, and the rest, step up and say, you know what, we accept this challenge. We're starting to realize through the data that literacy and crime and poverty, they're starting to stretch far beyond correlation into causation. And if we can do something about it here in Tarrant County, then we ought to. So proud to sponsor this.
Totally agree. And Hope Farm, which this court has helped fund some of their work last year or the year before, recognizes that and makes literacy, I think, their probably #1 priority, and they do great work. So they'll be joining us for the press conference also.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, sir. Next up is a proclamation to recognize one of our heroes at the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, Commissioner Ramirez.
Yeah, so again, very honored to present this proclamation. It's a long time coming. Appreciate all those in law enforcement that are in attendance today. And we'll have a little presentation here in a minute. But whereas on August 7th, 2024, deputies from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Warrant Division attempted to apprehend a fugitive wanted for 3 felony warrants related to crimes against children. And whereas upon making contact, the suspect refused to comply, barricaded the door, and immediately opened fire on the deputies, striking Deputy Todd Tipton 3 times as he held a ballistic shield to protect his team. And whereas, despite his injuries, Deputy Tipton continued to engage the suspect, while Sergeant Jefferson Smith and Deputy Brent Brown risked their own safety to extract him from the danger zone and provide emergency aid. And whereas Sergeant Christopher Salone shielded fellow officers under fire, sustaining direct hits to his ballistic shield, yet he maintained his position and directed responding units until the threat was neutralized. And whereas Deputy Valentino Lopez and MedStar EMS provided critical, life-saving medical treatment to Deputy Tipton, ensuring his survival. And whereas multiple agencies, including the Fort Worth Police Department, Haltom City Police Department, Fort Worth Fire Department, MedStar EMS, and surrounding law enforcement worked together to resolve this dangerous situation, and whereas these deputies displayed extraordinary bravery, selflessness, and unwavering commitment to public safety. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, honor the heroic actions and dedication of Deputy Todd Smith, Sergeant Jefferson Smith, Sergeant Christopher Salone, Deputy Tom Turpin, Brent Brown, Jeff Jones, Eric Campbell, and Deputy Valentino Lopez, who protected the citizens of Tarrant County, Texas. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hand and caused the Great Seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 9th day of February 2025. And I move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, those present vote normally. Those, if you are in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes unanimously.
Now before I welcome the rest of the Criminal Warrants Division down to accept this resolution, maybe say a few words, I did have a little show and tell. This is the actual shield that they had that day, and everybody can see that it was struck 7 or 10 times by rifle fire, and this is what protected the men and women that are sitting in that back row right there. So this is incredible, and the company wants this shield back to hang on their wall, of course. But this is what our folks utilized to save their lives that day, and I thought it was important that you get a visual of what it took, having rounds fired at you, and you're standing right behind this little piece of metal. But in any case, if the Criminal Warrants Division will come on down.
While you're coming up, we thank all of you, Deputy Tipton. We are grateful for you and that you're still here. Deputy Brown has been up here before, having faced something very similar, I would say, was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year. So he's been through the ringer. We're grateful that y'all are here and protect us and are alive.
Yep.
move that thing out of the way and we'll all get in a little circle here.
Well, I just.
There we go. Where's that?
Okay, I'll slide over.
This is not. One, two, three. One, two, three.
Good work. We voted on that, right?
Yep.
Judge,
I just want to step up and say thank you, Commissioner, for that, and thank you for the court for acknowledging this incredible moment, incredible time where brave men did what brave men do. We talk about training a great deal, and training is incredibly important to know the techniques and the tactics. But without the character of courage, training will fail. It's no good to us. These men demonstrated that day, that they were very courageous as they stood their ground and made sure that the bad guy was not a continuing threat to the community. But thank you for acknowledging that. They're going to be awarded some other things in our awards banquet here in a couple of months, and again, be recognized. But thank you all for recognizing them today. God bless you.
Thanks, sir.
Judge, if I may, just a brief comment about these great individuals, specifically Sergeant Christopher Salone. I've had the honor and pleasure of working with Sergeant Salone for the last 20 years in different capacities. And the bravery that these men and women displayed is something that they do every day. Sergeant Salone was responsible for ending a potential mass murder event in Everman High School at a football game. He saw the perpetrator, responded, and saved the lives of hundreds of people. I am honored and grateful to have these individuals protecting our community and looking out for us. They don't get a lot of praise, and so I think it's befitting to just be able to express my appreciation and gratitude for the work that they do to protect us. Commissioner Ramirez, thank you for acknowledging their service.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And I would mention that Sergeant Salone, he's also one of the best barbecue cooks in Tarrant
Yes, he
County,
is.
Texas. The Last Supper Barbecue Company, look him up.
Last Supper. Wow.
Okay, thank you all. Now we move to the consent agenda as amended. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I won't keep saying how to do it. Cast your vote. If you're for it, raise your hand. If not, I'll notice that it's a no. Okay, passes unanimously. Now brings us to the regular portion of the agenda. The first item is consideration of out-of-state travel requests.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the out-of-state travel requests. Any discussion on that item? All right, please cast your votes. Okay, passes unanimously. Next, we will bring up from consent item C2. C2 is consideration of interim funding for fiscal year 25 Ryan White Part A HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program. Are you here to talk about that?
Well, it's under my section.
Okay, we have a speaker. I will move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion before bringing up the speaker? All right, seeing none. Our speaker is Nan Terry.
Helen and I spoke before the meeting, and I support the interim funding. But I've seen examples of this type of interim funding since I've been watching the county budget. And as a non-accountant, I liken this to cash flow. However, this is not a normal year, and I doubt anyone in this room can predict with certainty which federal grants the county will receive and which we won't. And I urge the commissioners to actively look at the special budgets and determine the consequences for county programs should we not receive all of our federal grants. I encourage you to be transparent in this effort so the public knows the county's plans should the federal funding be reduced and what services may be reduced. And I thank Helen for her leadership on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second on this. Any discussion? Do you have discussion? No. All right, please cast your vote. Oh, I left it up. Okay, passes unanimously. Takes us to item C7. Let's see which one that is. Oh, that's the one I removed. So, yeah, I removed that because...
Actually, I asked for the same thing. Why is this consent?
Yeah, no, you know what? When people do good work, we should recognize it. So this item is to receive and file the Open Government and Compliance Transparency Star Award for the Texas Comptroller's Office. And if I have my information correct, we received all 6 possible transparency stars related to budgeting and fiscal management. And but I want you to tell us more about it. That should be celebrated and give us the exact details, but remarkable job from all. Great work. That's what we're here for and what we're supposed to do. So Helen, tell us a little bit about it.
So this actually started under Candace Boutte when she was in the county commissioner's office, in the county administrator's office as a SIM. We started working together on that. We received the first ones in 2018, and then Katie Herrick, who is now in my office. Candace came to my office and continued to work on it. Katie has continued to work on it, and we are the only county in the state of Texas that has received this. I think there's only there's only 8 cities, other government entities across the state that have received all 6. They are in finance, public pension, contracting and procurement, debt obligation, economic development, and open government in comparison. That's the last one we received recently. And Katie has worked hard on it. She's made sure that the updates have been online, which is the requirement. And she received her letter from the comptroller saying, good job. So,
well done. Would you like to say anything, or?
No.
No. Thank you for standing there.
Great job. Absolutely awesome.
All right, so I will make a motion to receive and file that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Which now takes us to E1, which is held to discuss in closed session. We do have some speakers. Do any commissioners wish to address E1 while we're here? Okay, seeing none.
I do.
Oh.
The law firm is currently billed at $98,000 and some change for the representation of Tarrant County in this suit. Since further invoices are anticipated, the Criminal District Attorney's Office is requesting additional funding for the litigation expenses. It just does not say in the court communication the amount. And so the question I'm sure the speakers have, or anybody who's looking at this would have, is what are the invoices that are anticipated? How much do they anticipate? And I imagine since this has been held for close, we'll discuss this back there. But I think even though the county has been dismissed from the case, we can probably expect Mr. Johnson and his family to appeal, and then we're obligated to defend the detention officers as well. So it's taxpayer dollars, and I think we need to have some numbers to look at, and the public needs to have some numbers to look at.
Okay, we have, I think, 5 speakers. 5 speakers on this item. Reed Bills is first, followed by Bishop Kirkland.
The U.S. District Court dismissed the claims against the county on February 7th. Haynes and Boone has submitted a bill for $98,000 for their work thus far. Apparently, they intend to continue charging for services rendered even after the case has been dismissed. The district attorney is seeking an unspecified amount, no limit, to pursue this issue that has already cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. When will you decide in your closed discussions that seem only to benefit the attorneys that enough is enough? How much does the lead attorney from Haynes and Boone charge for these sessions that fail to reach a conclusion? Save the taxpayers' money as you promised to do by your budget, and settle this matter today.
Following Bishop Kirkland, we have Daniel Freeman.
Unlike Ms. Bills, I don't want to see this case settled. I want to see this elusive tape, because I think that tape will be the clue to why we're spending so much money. If we take the key from the hen house from the fox, then we wouldn't have these type of issues that we have. And I really want to go on record to say how much we appreciate law enforcement. There are some people we want out of our village. There are some people who deserve to go to jail. But by the same token, Tarrant County seems to have a serious problem when it comes to incarcerated and serving warrants, people who have mental illnesses. This money, I just wish that I had 1/10 of this money. I could dig wells in West Africa and provide drinking water for villages. This is a colossal waste of money, and it seems that the attorneys have gotten wise, that there is a fountain filled with funds that floweth from Tarrant County veins. And beneath that plunder, we seem to continue to make these these attorneys rich at the taxpayers' expense. I applaud those men who stood before us today for their bravery. It's one thing to watch people being shot at on television. It's all different thing, Commissioner, to have people shooting at you. Our problem is not with the Sheriff's Department. Our problem is with the county, is with the commissioners, that we continue to sign these open-ended checks. They have found a lady, and they're lining up for Tarrant County because they know not only will we play, but we will pay. And at what expense will we continue to shove out this money? And at this point, Commissioner Miles, we don't know how much more it's gonna cost. We have no idea where the fountains shut off. And I think that the people who are sitting before us, who say that you represent the district, you will represent that district. Forget your political alliances and speak as a group to say at some point, we have to, men, women, we have to quit writing these dang checks. Get the fox out of the hen house.
Following Mr. Freeman, we have Linda Hanratty. Is Mr. Freeman here? We don't have an overflow room, do we?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, Ms. Hanratty here? Okay. How about Robert Van? Okay, that's all for the speakers on E1. So now we go to K1, which is purchasing. And let me look at this real quick. What was the, okay, so if there's no objection from the court members, I would make a motion to approve K1 through 13.
Judge.
No, we do have a speaker on K3.
Oh, it's,
I think on K3.
why didn't I write that
On
down?
K3, I think we have a speaker.
Gotcha, yeah, so revoke that motion. I will move to approve K1 and 2.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second there. Any discussion on those two? All right, please cast your vote. All right, passes unanimously. Now we go to K3. K3 is an annual contract for cars, pickup trucks, SUVs, and vans. Do we have a motion on this item?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on this item. Any discussion before speaker? Joe Palmer. Joe Palmer present. Okay, no, Mr. Palmer. All right, we have a motion and a second on item K3. Any discussion on that? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes. All right, passes unanimously. Now I will make a motion to approve K4 through K13.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that. Any discussion on any of those items? All right, please cast your vote. Okay. Also unanimous. Now we go to K14. Does anyone have any questions on K14? All right, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to approve, I'm
Motion to
assuming?
approve?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on 14? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes. All right, passes unanimously. Now we add K20 from consent. HIJ. K20 is Defendant Notification System, Criminal Courts, Juvenile Services, and County Clerk. Do we have questions, comments, or a motion on that item? We do have at least one speaker.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve item K20 and a second. Any discussion from the court before bringing up the speaker? All right, seeing none, Terry Roach. I believe that's it, right?
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you.
morning.
On January 29th, jury selection in my trial, my criminal trial, for interference with public duties wrapped up. As a defendant, I was pleased with the selection. I suspect, I can't speak for Prosecutor Bill Vassar, but I suspect he did not share my sentiment. On January 30th at 3:47 a.m., I received both a text and an email telling me that my trial had been rescheduled. Of course, I showed up, and later that day, a jury took less than 30 minutes to find me not guilty of the baseless, politically motivated charges against me. I'll skip the story of the trial and all, but I'll say that this error, the sending me a text and email telling me it's been rescheduled 3:47 in the morning, that could have resulted in more persecution of me. Could have resulted, had I not shown up, in a warrant for my arrest. It could have furthered the proceedings. Could have been a rescheduled trial, another jury selection. So this is not a rhetorical question. Why did this happen? Why did I get an email and a text at 3:47 in the morning of a trial telling me it's been rescheduled? Don't show up. Who's responsible? Who's going to take responsibility? Do these errors happen frequently? Or is this just a glitch that only happens to a political prisoner? They're not rhetorical questions. Do you have answers? I know you can't engage in an exchange with me, but you can ask someone else right now to answer why they're aware of it. This isn't new information for our DA. I'll sit down and let you respond.
Before you do, tell me the mistake again. Explain the mistake. You got the text message saying it was canceled and it wasn't canceled. Is that the question?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, Judge O'Hare.
Okay. And who? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You can be seated. You said you want to be seated. You can be.
You've asked a question. Now
you
I'll ask
answered
you. Will you answer the questions that I have? I know we don't have an exchange right now. But you've asked me a question. Will you ask that question to the DA right now? Will we put it on public record?
Well, I was planning on asking someone. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Who runs this?
I believe the criminal court judiciary runs this system.
Okay.
So I've already made a note that we'll have Mr. Stallings check in with the judiciary on this to see if we can find out independently what's going on here.
Okay. When was this? You don't have to go to the mic.
January 30th at 3:47 in the morning.
Of this year?
Of this year. I'd be happy to show them to you right now.
I'll take your word for it. Okay, yeah, I'd like to know who exactly sends that, how that works, who's in charge of it. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we did have a motion and a second on this item, right? All right, any further discussion on the renewal? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please cast your vote. Or if you're opposed, I guess do that too. Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we go to L1. L1, also from consent, is to receive and file the 2024 racial profiling data from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. I will move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the court? Okay, would you like to speak?
If y'all would like me to. Y'all have the report in front of you. If you have any questions, I can certainly answer, or I can give just an overview of it as well. So y'all prefer.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. If you want to give an overview, you can, but nobody has any questions at this point. We've read it. Okay. We do have one speaker on this. I believe it's one. Bishop Kirkland. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to receive and file. Any further discussion? All right, please cast your vote. We do have a motion and a second, do we not?
Yep, we do.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that one passes unanimously. That was L1. Okay, now it looks like we have appointments to various boards and commissions. Do we have any board or commission appointments? All right, seeing none, we will move to briefing item, briefing regarding the January 31st, 2025 incident involving the Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I have just the press release from the Sheriff's Office. I was going to read into the record really quick. This is dated for immediate release on January 31st. So reference and update to the officer-involved shooting from January 31st. On Friday, January 31st, 2025, just before 2 p.m., Tarrant County Mental Health Warrant deputies attempted to serve a mental health warrant on Christopher Loyo. Loyo was arrested a week prior to an aggravated assault with deadly weapon charge. He bonded out of Tarrant County Jail and returned to his residence of Twin Oaks Drive in Haltom City. Due to recent erratic behavior, a mental health warrant had been issued for Loyo. During the serving of the warrant, Loyo assaulted a TCSO deputy with a knife. On that note, I was later told it was updated information was actually a sword of under 20 inches that stabbing the deputy in the head and causing a severe laceration to his hand. Deputies on scene discharged their firearms to stop Loyo, ultimately saving the life of the deputy. The deputy was transported to a local hospital and was recovering from his injuries. Mental health warrant deputies recognize the dangers in serving these types of warrants. Last year, TCSO deputies served 427 mental health warrants and transported those taken into custody to mental health facilities. Haltom Police Department and Watauga Police Department assisted with securing the scene. As is protocol, the deputies involved have been placed on administrative leave, and the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office requested the Texas Rangers respond and take the lead in the investigation. The request was granted, and all additional case information will need to be requested through the Texas Department of Public Safety. In press release.
Okay. Questions or comments from commissioners?
Yes, I have a few questions. So, did the sheriff leave? He was there earlier.
I don't see him here, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm sure he saw this agendized and made the decision not to stay around to address it, which speaks volumes. Main question right now, how is the injured deputy doing?
I don't have an update on that, ma'am. The only information I have is the press release information, which I was found on the website.
I checked in, and he's not yet returned to work, and he's probably gonna have surgery in the next couple weeks.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. What takes place, and these questions are for the sheriff, of course, or his executive staff. What takes place whenever the sheriff's department first receives a mental health warrant? Are there briefings prior to the warrant and after? What is discussed in those briefings? When the sheriff's office receives a mental health warrant, what takes place?
Is there anybody here in this room that will answer that?
Okay, so...
Hang on, somebody's coming up to the podium.
Okay, great, I can't see. Thank you.
Good morning. On the mental health warrants, a lot of times, as you're probably aware, the affiants are family members of the person. And so once a warrant is received, the judge signs the warrant indicating there's probable cause, then the family is normally contacted. And that happened in this case as well. And they coordinate and arrange for the person to usually step outside or make themselves available. An operational plan is devised by the warrant deputies for the safety of the individual they're taken into custody and our officers, and it's executed that way.
Okay.
What is making that noise?
That's a wander outside.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
Okay, so in this case, there was an operational plan. What happened? So did the family tell you that there was a blade in the same room that this gentleman was in?
I'm not sure of the answer on that, but also this case is being investigated by the Texas Rangers, so they would be the right authority. We turned that over to them immediately upon this incident happening, so they're conducting the investigation.
Okay. So there's an operational plan, I guess folks are briefed, you know who you're going to get, what their issue is. The family has requested you come out to get them. Is Tarrant County MHMR a part of this operational plan? Are they a partner in this? Are the responding deputies, are they fully trained to deal with this?
Yes, ma'am. Our deputies have different varying levels of training. Some of them have been fully certified as mental health officers through TCOA, if you will. Some of them are continuing to receive that training. It's ongoing training every year. So they do have specialized training in dealing with these issues, and we do coordinate with MHMR and the judges that issue the warrant. Yes, ma'am.
So does a mental health professional accompany the deputies on these mental health warrant services?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Many cities like Grand Prairie have a crisis response team that has specially trained mental health officers and a mental health professional on the team. So does the Arlington Police Department. Are there any discussions of a similar type team being assembled by the Sheriff's Department?
We would love to have the manpower to be able to do that, and like I said, we're pursuing the training right now for our deputies that are assigned to this. But no, we don't have an MHMR person, if you will, assigned to the team.
Out of the 427 mental health warrants that were issued, have been issued, how many ended peacefully through de-escalation?
I don't have those statistics with me. I can get that for you.
And does the Sheriff's Office have a de-escalation policy for mental health warrants?
Every warrant we do is hopefully following those guidelines and with the result of a de-escalation of a safe arrest. Yes, ma'am.
And what is the Sheriff's Office's policy for releasing body cam footage?
I'm going to defer to the sheriff on that, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to defer to the sheriff on that.
Okay. Because I know, this is not you, thank you, those are all the questions I have right now, except one more. So I know you don't know right now, you have to defer to the sheriff. Do you happen to know a time frame that the family can expect to have an opportunity to view the video?
I do not. Are you talking about the incident on the agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the body cam video of the Haltom City Mental Health Warrant Service.
Yeah, I'm not sure unless the Rangers are leading that investigation. They're conducting it. Texas.
Okay. Well, because we've shown family video before, even while the Texas Rangers or another agency was conducting the investigation, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's correct, yes.
So I'm not suggesting it be released to the public before the family sees it. Just wondering when they might have an opportunity to see it.
I'm not sure of that right now.
Okay. And court members, Commissioner Ramirez, I can't remember the date, but a few months back, we talked about, or you talked about, or broached the subject of a body cam release policy, or interest in seeing that. Do you happen to know where that might be?
I don't. But my interest remains. I think that there's got to be consistency all the way around on how we handle every incident. Not just, certainly not for our satisfaction, but so that the public has an expectation.
Yes.
If they know it's going to be released within 3 months, 6 months, that's the protocol, and every single incident should be treated the exact same. So I know nationwide there are templates, and last time I checked, which is probably maybe 2 weeks ago, last time I inquired about it, I was told that different policies were being drafted and considered. So I'm not sure where they are in the pipeline for the Sheriff's Office, but I know, or I've been told they're working on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we align on that. There should be a consistent policy. So, all right, thank you. I'm done. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, so we have comments on any other questions or comments from commissioners? All right, we have several speakers on this item. I don't know if it's George or Jorge. Loya Guerrero. Following Mr. Guerrero, we have Reed Bills.
I want to say good morning, first of all. I'm not the one, to be honest, I'm not the one to be here. This is out of my zone. I'm not in the politician world. I was Christopher's brother. I was the one that requested the warrant, trying to get him help. And this is the reason that we got. First off, where is the sheriff? I think it's kind of odd that he was here to receive the award, but once he saw the agenda, where is he? Okay, that's a little odd. I want to say thank you to Ms. Commissioner Simmons. She's the one that brought it to the agenda without even saying anything to us. She just put it on there and we just confirmed, yeah, and we sent over the questions. You're my precinct representative, and you haven't talked to me, you haven't brought anything up. Why is that? Don't know. My brother was the 70th person dead since his election, because the sheriff is elected, am I correct? Right, he's elected. Whenever I let the sheriffs in to get my brother, because I was instructed that he was going to be taken to GPS for MHMR evaluation. They didn't use me, they didn't use my mother. They opened his door. My brother was having a mental episode. I'm not sure why it was not reported, because I heard everything. They tased him twice back to back, and then they shot him right immediately after. I have law enforcement training. I was a police explorer. Obviously, I'm not a full police officer. I'm not licensed, but I have somewhat of a training, and I understand how tasers work, what leads to someone to deploy a weapon. I understand that. What I don't understand is why wasn't there dialogue before? Why didn't you say, hey, Christopher, do you want to talk to somebody? Hey, Christopher, how you feeling? You just opened his door, tased him twice, and then shot him. I just got done burying my 19-year-old brother. My mother's right there. What do I say to her? What do I say to her? I just want to have a little bit of a statement to the sheriff that apparently he's not even here. But you never knocked on his bedroom door. You never tried to simply talk to him. A simple hello. This could all have been avoided by just a conversation. He wasn't a threat to anybody. We didn't get his body a week after. I was the only person that saw him. I did not want to let anybody see him. People, my family doesn't know why, but I know why. Right in his face. Right in his face.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredible. I just hope that this comes to the light, and I want to see body cam footage. I want to have a meeting with you, with Ms. Simmons, with the sheriff, if he's even willing to say anything to me. Because he showed up on the scene, didn't even look my way.
All right, following read bills, we have Katie Starnes.
According to an article in the Star Telegram about this incident, the judge who issued the mental health warrant assured the family that mental health specialists would come to the family's house to take Christopher to a mental health facility where he would receive treatment. Instead, deputies from the sheriff's department arrived to remove him forcibly from his bedroom. The sheriff stated that the deputies specialize in serving mental health warrants. It appears that these deputies either had no training or inadequate training. One deputy suffered a severe cut to his hand. This suggests the deputy charged in and tried to grab a knife from Christopher. Not a wise move when facing a young man who was experiencing psychosis. This was clearly a result of the lack of training mentioned above.
Is Ms. Starnes present? Following Ms. Starnes, we have Nan Terry.
As
somebody who has a close relative with bipolar disorder, I understand what it's like to need outside help when a loved one is going through severe mania and psychosis. In the past, I would have considered asking for help if my family member goes through another crisis, which they probably will. It's part of the disease. Because I was under the impression that, and I don't know if I'm wrong, I thought Tarrant County had approved MHMR to have their own bulletproof vests to wear when they ride along with police during a mental health warrant or these types of calls. And if we had spent money for MHMR to tag along with police and wear a bulletproof vest, then why weren't they there at Christopher Loyo's home in January? And why was this mental health warrant recommended if the city is going to send out police and not mental health professionals along with deputies? I don't think it's fair to the deputy to expect them to be a mental health professional on the fly. So why wasn't this resource used? This death could have been prevented. And you know, police can be very intimidating on their own, especially to somebody who's going through severe mental health issues. And I would be scared to call for a mental health warrant for my loved one. I am very sad for Christopher Loyo's family.
Following Ms. Terry, we have Carla Palomares.
In previous court sessions, we found that MHMR staff is available to ride along with local law enforcement. We have trained mental health experts to assist local law enforcement. I encourage the sheriff deputies to call on MHMR to prevent another situation like this. And if there is, in fact, not enough MHMR staff to assist the sheriff in this endeavor, I encourage this court to modify the MHMR contract to pay for MHMR staff to be available to accompany deputies serving mental health warrants. Thank you.
Following Ms. Palomares, we have Bayana Abdullah.
My name is Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. Firstly, I do want to thank Commissioner Simmons for representing Tarrant County well and always listening to the people, especially those who are not in her district and who are asking for help because they're not receiving it from anyone else on this court. Thank you, Commissioner, for serving people who desperately need and deserve answers and accountability. TikTok. Yet another countdown has started. 19 days have passed since Christopher Loyo's life was unjustly stolen by the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department. TikTok. 19 days have passed and Christopher's family has received no communication from any other person on this court or the sheriff about that day or been reached out to for what they've needed as community members, as taxpayers, as residents of this county. TikTok. 19 days have passed and the body cam footage from the deputies who were present when this murder, yes, murder, took place and has not been released to the public or the family. TikTok. 19 days have passed since our 71st death occurred that this court and the sheriff, Wayborn, are solely responsible for every single one of them and continue to prevent and defend as acceptable and commendable. TikTok. 2,912 days have passed since Wayborn was elected, and yet he's failed us over and over again throughout these days. It's been 750 days that you, Tim O'Hare, and you, Manny Ramirez, have sat on this court and continue to let incompetence run rampant in the sheriff's office. He's the one needlessly putting lives at risk, the lives of our residents, the lives of those who work for that department. When are you going to fire Bill Wayborn and call for an investigation for his costly negligence? This court must demand the body cam footage be released immediately. TikTok commissioners, your time's up.
Is Mr. and Miss Abdullah here? Following Miss Abdullah, we have Bishop Kirkland.
Good morning. I'm here today to call for the full release of the tape of Anthony Johnson Jr.'s murder in the Tarrant County Jail, and to call for the release of the body cam footage of the murder of Christopher Loyo. For the past 5 years, I've been a public school teacher, both in Houston and in Dallas, and I live in Precinct 1 of Tarrant County now, that I've moved into grad school. And I'm telling you this information because I know what it's like to be a public servant. And it's really infuriating and wild to me to look around and to hear that teenager's mother behind me, and then to see people like laughing and kikiing with the sheriff earlier, like, oh, congratulations, you guys stopped the bad guy. And then he comes and he says, you know, training and courage, right? Well, clearly they didn't have the training in this scenario, and they didn't have the courage not to kill a teenager. That's wild. And public school teachers, they do it every single day. Kids try to, when you work with kids who have disabilities, they will try all the time. If they're having a mental health crisis, they will try all kinds of things. But we know what to do, right? We know how to prevent them from killing themselves or from hurting other people, right? So why wouldn't we, and we're not wearing, we don't have body cameras and we don't have bulletproof vests. These guys do. And it's not possible for them not to kill somebody? Come on. You can't tell me that that's not possible. And I also think that for every single person sitting in this room, this should actually hit home for you. I'm looking around at people and I feel like I'm in another dimension. It's like, where are we at, right? A teenager died. I should be hearing very concrete things about policy. I should be hearing that Ramirez is meeting with their family. Why are the most basic things not happening? It's actually the least that you can do to show somebody that you respected the life of their child. A teen being killed isn't something unavoidable. It's not an incident that happened on January 31st. It's a kid who should still be here. And this office continuously allows these things to happen and then comes and talks in meetings about, it's so annoying that we have to spend all this money on these lawsuits. Those lawsuits wouldn't be happening if Anthony Johnson Jr. was still here either. Mental health beds, we don't know, right, if we're gonna get the money for them. Why is that? Is that acceptable to us? Because we know we're gonna get money for the sheriff's department. We know we're gonna have money for war. We know we're gonna have money for law enforcement all the time. But we don't know if teachers are gonna be able to get new microscopes. We don't know if we're gonna have mental health beds. Do better.
Following Bishop Kirkland, we have Charles Bills.
Here again, this is such a sad scenario. I got questions. Why, my first question is, why is Commissioner Simmons the only one asking questions? Why is Commissioner Simmons the only one challenging this outlaw sheriff? What? It makes her look like the bad guy because she should go along to get along. And I submit that's why we're here now. It's too much going along to get along. What kind of de-escalation takes less than 2 minutes? This young man stood here today. He was there. He's not making this up. I watched the news. The family said less than 2 minutes after they walked out of the house with this young man, he was dead. That ought to be a problem. Then we come down here and use ugly words like transparency. That's the nastiest, you talk about decorum, that's the nastiest word I've heard. Transparency. When have you ever been transparent? And that family's back there waiting to see a videotape that they will never see because it will be caught up in bureaucracy and red tape because that's not the way Tarrant County does business. And I feel bad for this family, and it's a shame. I know for a fact that Fort Worth Police Department in their budget have room for ride-along mental health specialists. Why doesn't the county? Why are we sending non-specialized people that need special care, and we wonder how we end up here again? It's derelict, it's misuse, it's abuse, and it's a damn shame that we come here every week, every 2 weeks, and we deal with this boy is not a statistic. He was their son. He's not a statistic. He's dead. You do know dead. Not breathing. Lying in the cold ground when a 19-year-old kid should be playing a video game or at least dealing with the sensation of his first by being third love. So here we are again at this hollow space asking the same questions. In the Marines, we should say stuff rolls downhill, and that's what's happening right here. Because if it rolls uphill one time, and we get the real culprit, we get the real person, forget about all this training we're talking about. Forget about all this stuff, and there will be other bodies. There will be other bodies, and we'll just keep writing checks.
Following Mr. Bills, is it, which one is that? Mr. Bills.
Kind of what everybody else has said is what I was planning on saying, but the one thing that struck me is when Alyssa Simmons asked the sheriff spokesman, do they have funding for these MHMR people to go on these warrants? And he said, no, we don't. Then why are they doing it? If Fort Worth, Arlington has them, why not just contract it out and say, let them take their cops out to, you know, if it's Haltom City, then, you know, it's not a long drive for either Fort Worth or Arlington. So, you know, if it's just something that the Tarrant County Sheriff's is, you know, apparently with the proclamation, you know, they're good at handling warrants for actual, you know, threats to society, but when somebody's a threat to himself, it seems like that's beyond their means. So, you know, I think we should, you know, if you either spend the money on getting those people or else contract it out to the police departments that do have that.
Thank you. Next we have Lydia Faith.
Hello, my name is Lydia. I'm here today to demand transparency and accountability from this Commissioner's Court and the Tarrant County Sheriff Department. The Sheriff Department must release the full tape of the murder of Anthony Johnson Jr. The Sheriff's Department must also release the full body camera footage of the murder of Christopher Loyo. Why are y'all constantly hiding from the public when we are the ones you're supposed to be accountable to? Every single person who has been murdered in the Tarrant County Jail should be alive today. The Sheriff's Department, Tarrant County Jail, Bill Wayborn, and this Commissioner's Court all have blood on y'all's hands. The Commissioner's Court must demand Wayborn's resignation and do a full investigation of the Tarrant County Jail and the Sheriff's Department. How many more people need to be murdered for y'all to do something about it? 71 people since 2017. One person is too many. Earlier in this meeting, you mentioned mental health beds, which means mental health is somewhere on y'all's mind, just not a priority to ensure it's actually enacted throughout the department. This department isn't equipped to handle a mental health crisis without murdering someone, so why is the priority not looking further into how deputies are trained to serve mental health warrants? Why wasn't a non-police mental health professional accompanying these deputies, and why don't they go on every call? And why is it that the sheriff isn't even here to answer these questions, once again leaving us without any answers? He should be here and hear from everyone, and he should be here in every meeting. A mental health crisis should not be a death sentence, but in Tarrant County, it is. Demand the resignation of Wayborn, do an investigation, and release the body camera footages.
Is Joe Palmer present? No Joe Palmer. Okay, so that's all the speakers we have signed up. On Mr. Merritt.
Sir.
So I would like to get information to the members of this court on what would the process be to make sure we did have MHMR people or appropriate mental health providers to go along.
So I think we have the law liaison contract. Is that for today?
Part of it is. Part of the grant that covers the law liaison program with MHMR is on the court, is on your agenda today. And then the other portion is a contract that we do specifically with MHMR for training and ride-alongs.
But we don't currently have them go on every mental health warrant.
I'd have to ask the sheriff on
Okay.
that, sir, but I can check that.
I would like to get information on, does Fort Worth have MHMR folks that go along on every ride? I'd like to know the numbers of how many mental health warrants are served on an annual basis. And then what would it take for us to have whatever mental health professional it is from wherever they are from to be part of that? I'd like to have those answers.
Okay. One other comment.
Judge, I have one other short comment, and it is to the family of Christopher Boya. And I would like to express my condolences to them. I have not gotten to, because of all of the travel I've been doing, I've not gotten a chance to sit down and meet with them. And so I want the mother and the brother and all of the rest of the family to know that I am so sorry this happened, and I pledge to get to the bottom of it. When in Austin for Tarrant County Days, me and my staff also spent the days meeting with our state leaders to talk about bringing a state mental health hospital to Tarrant County, bringing more beds here. And so I am trying to be optimistic about that because there's not been an author identified for the bill, or at least last week there had not been. And so just wanted to say I'm so sorry to the mother and the brother of Christopher. Thank you.
So, just so we're clear on one thing.
Yes, sir.
There's certain things that require bills, and there's certain things that do not. And you can appropriate funds without a bill. So, just so people are aware. What was your question?
Just well, one comment, just as a reminder. So back and this is mostly for my new court members. Back in the fall, this court authorized 3 requests for information for the sheriff's office. One of those particularly was related to the use of body cameras by the sheriff's office.
Right.
I believe those RFI responses came back at the end of December. I believe all those results are with the sheriff's office for their review, and I believe at this point they are looking to potentially add something to next year's budget to potentially ask the court for funding in order to do something of that sort.
Well, after we see what I've asked for, we may decide to deal with it before next year's budget. Sure. So, okay. Next we come to our public comment section. There is...
I've got one comment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Move along.
Sure.
Well, to answer the question on Fort Worth, yes, they have a partnership with MHMR where they do have liaisons that ride along to mental health calls. And again, to the family, I'll echo Commissioner Simmons' sentiments. No family whose family member is going through a mental health crisis who reaches out for help, obviously that families don't want that, so it never should have happened. We have to have a system that makes sure that it doesn't happen. So in any case, I mean, I'm fully supportive of helping in that effort to get resources for mental health calls for the sheriff's office so that we make sure they have all the tools necessary. So.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, if I may as well echo those sentiments, I am committed to supporting whatever we can do to ensure that people who are in our custody and care don't die. To the family of the 19-year-old young man, Christopher, you have my deepest condolences. I am so sorry for your loss. And I am committed to making sure that people who are in mental health crisis don't die when they're in our custody and care. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, I think it's been a great conversation that started off because of a tragedy that happened. I want to extend my sincere condolences to the family as well. But I hope this also shows that, you know, your feedback does matter. Some great questions today that I was contemplating, like the judge. Why didn't we have somebody there? What keeps us from that? Is it protocol? Should it be protocol? Do we have training for de-escalation? Are there certain units that are sent out on mental health warrants who've been trained in de-escalation? If they haven't, why not? And so I think it's been very helpful for me. I appreciate the comments today, highlighting some of maybe the weaknesses or inefficiencies in the training or the system that we have. And so again, my sincere condolences to the family who doesn't have their 19-year-old brother to be with anymore, but hopefully some good will come out of that, so nobody else has to suffer that as well. So thank you for your comments today.
Okay, now we move to public comments. There's one item in closed that we have two speakers signed up for, Ms. Terry and Cassandra Johnson. So you can wait to do this if we come back from executive session and we take any action on it, or I will put you at the end of the public comments if you wish to speak at that time. So public comments, beginning, the first speaker we have is Janelle Johnson. Following Ms. Johnson, we have Chanel Jenkins.
I'm actually going to address the family. I know, and I'm so sorry for this to happen to your brother. It's actually very disingenuous that Mr. Krause said that now they're going to make sure that none of this is prevented, but this happened to my brother. They're also going to continue to dismiss that my brother, the same day he got arrested, went to MHMR to get help, and they refused his services. We have on file, that's why it is very disheartening when we don't see Wayborn, because we have a file that admits, that has the county admitting that they knew that my brother had a mental illness. We actually just filed a motion today letting you know we have that evidence. So when you see other news that now they think they have a great victory, no, they don't. And the fact that he knew he went to Kim Paxton, he just admitted that. Kim Paxton is the same one who's keeping the tape.
The higher ups.
He's keeping the tape. So to Mr. Wayborn and to all the other sheriffs, if what you're saying, how you ran that jail is correct, then show the videotape. Because it shows every motion how it wasn't. My brother was killed from a pepper spray. Remember that. I'm so sorry that it was a gunshot to you, but it was a pepper spray. So can you imagine what went through in that jail cell, in his mouth? No medicine, and MHMR was notified. I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I guess Mr. Krause is new, and old boy is new. But I want to promise you, I've been trying to do this since April of last year to prevent this happening to your brother. But they don't want to talk about JPS, they don't want to talk about MHMR, and guess, the same thing that they did when we came on, the next day, they were over here praising. The next commissioner's court, praising, giving retirement, because now all of a sudden, Ecker wants to retire. So the fact that now they're praising the sheriff's head, that's the thing that they do. Of course you're supposed to arrest a fucking sexual predator. I'm sorry.
Remove her now.
Of course.
Remove her now.
This is what we're talking
That is
about.
what you're going through.
No.
We're going to see this again.
Okay.
And everything she has said.
Remove him as well.
I'm sorry that you're going through.
Here we go, removing people, again, for using constitutionally protected speech.
But this
She
is the same
does
action
not have
I
to-
want for my son's murder. Mr. O'Hare, do that.
It's in document 115. Look it up.
Chanel Jenkins is our next speaker. Following Ms. Jenkins, we have Bishop Kirkland.
Hello, my name is Chanel Jenkins. For those of you who don't know me, I am the widow of Robert Miller, who died in Tarrant County Sheriff's Department custody.
I'm sorry to do this to you. Nobody can hear what you're saying. We're gonna probably take a brief recess, but give me just a second here. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess, so you'll be first up. We are now in recess.
Thank you.
Is Roderick not back with us yet?
Yes, sir, I'm here, Judge.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, we're back from a recess. Ms. Jenkins, my apologies. You're first up. Following Ms. Jenkins, Bishop Kirkland.
Thank you for having me. My name is Chanel Jenkins. For those of you who don't know me, I am the widow of Robert Miller, who died in Tarrant County Jail in 2019. I'm here today because I'm seeing all the deaths are continuing the way I mentioned that I knew they would before. I'm wondering why things haven't changed, yet and still 5 years later. I'm still waiting to hear back for restitution. I'm still waiting to hear back for all the answers that were promised to me. The transparency and the clarity that you promised hasn't been given at all. And I hate to see that more families are beginning to join me, just as I knew they would all those years ago. Please make a change. And now I would like to have a moment of silence for Robert Miller, for Traylon Wormley, for the Christopher, and also for Tom Tolinkasi, who is no longer with us. Thank you so much.
All right, following Bishop Kirkland, we have Katie Starnes.
I'd speak with Mr. and Ms. Johnson when this judge dropped the case. I had to tell him, you have to stand still because it's just more the Tarrant County way. The good old boy hook up, but what you have to do is we get to criminal court. Once we get to criminal court and that tape comes out, then don't worry, you'll get what's just. My cancer is no longer in remission. I don't know how many days that I'll be able to stand before you, but I will continue to be here every day that the Most High gives me strength to come. And I will continue to knock at the door for justice because I believe with the knock of importunity, and the only reason I knock so hard is because I believe that if I knock long enough, the doors of justice must swing open. Janelle, Mr. Johnson, it looks like anger to most of you guys, but they are hurt. How many times have they sat in this courtroom? And thank you for apologizing to Christopher's family. But how many times have those people been here and no one has never, from this diocese, other than Ms. Simmons, issued them a single apology? And then to come in here today, and it's like a slap in their face. Judge, I've never heard you so, I can't think of the adjective today when you said you got answers, that you want to know some answers to what's the protocol, whatever it was that you requested. I've never seen that, which lets me know that now I think we're asking the right questions. Mr. Manning, you had your foot on the pedal about the SOP, and somehow your foot slipped off the pedal, but with this thing, with this kid, this baby, 19, it's 3 lifetimes ago for me, when this baby got killed. We gotta start dealing with the hard questions. I could stand here and insult you. You can sit there and be a know about me, and people keep dying. What do we gain? until we start asking some of the right questions. And Mr. Kraus, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Thank you for you're starting to ask the questions. That's all we wanted. I was watching KERA about slavery in the South last night, and it wasn't until leadership started asking the right questions that my people found some relief. So let's keep asking the right questions and doing what's right.
Following Ms. Starnes, we have Zam Khan Leon Joseph.
A month ago, I attended Mason Yancey's funeral, and I never expected to attend a funeral for a friend who died of a death so preventable. Hearing his mother, brother, and sister cry out as they lowered the casket into the ground was absolutely devastating and horrifying. And when I showed up here to share my story after it happened, after his death, at the first meeting here, to share my own experiences about losing 39 pounds in 6 weeks at TCJ in 2016 due to my food allergies not being accommodated, I did not expect to hear any of the details leading up to the last moments of his life. I didn't expect for his best friend to come up here and say that Mason had called him, begging him to get him out of jail and to take him to the hospital, sending him messages on December 26th saying, "Bro, this is a matter of life and death. I would never ask you anything like this if it wasn't serious." And December 28th, a few hours before he died, "Bro, I could hardly move. Please get me out." This was incredibly disturbing and chilling to hear, and that has sat with me for a very long time. And I didn't expect to hear any of that. And why did we let this happen? I'll tell you why. Because the culture to treat incarcerated individuals as less than human is second nature to most sheriffs at Tarrant County Jail. And that culture is deadly. And we need a sheriff in a system that doesn't have a general discontent for anybody who breaks the law. A system that knows a county jail houses people who haven't even been tried and convicted yet and lets them have their day in court. When can we see some change in accountability? There's one gentleman who has come up here almost every week saying that his son was showing signs of congenital heart failure to the jail not giving him his medication. And how can we give people the medication that they need when they're in jail? Can we implement a mandated health history from every inmate to be linked to their record? I'm sure there's a HIPAA law somewhere. I don't know how all of that works, but can we have a nurse practitioner on site and a pharmacy to prescribe life-saving medication? And can we train our sheriffs here to recognize and, when someone's having an actual emergency and don't think that these people are lying? I really want to see some change. Thank you.
Thank you. Following Mr. Joseph, we have Terry Roach. Is Mr. Joseph present? Okay, Terry Roach. Following Mr. Roach, we have Daniel Freeman.
Judge O'Hare, if I'm not mistaken, your Facebook page is a public forum, but you blocked me. I'd encourage you.
It's not, but okay.
ACLU has a template on their website. This should not take from me, you responding, interrupting me. So I should get 3 minutes again. I didn't ask you to interrupt me. ACLU has a template, so I'm going to trust their answer more than I trust yours. I'll go right to that answer that you gave me. This is why you blocked me, or you can explain. You can provide the text that I wrote you on which you base your decision to block me. I asked Judge O'Hare, do you support the right of citizens to have body camera video from your own encounters with police? He responded, I've never been asked, but don't see why not. It should be a public record. You were a lawyer. Body camera videos today, body camera videos last time, body camera videos next time. You've never been asked. That, as my lawyer said to the police who testified in my trial, that's not a truthful and honest answer. Or perhaps I should say that's a disingenuous answer. Body camera videos, in fact, are at the heart of why I'm here. I was just a school teacher working on education reform when I was subject to police misconduct. And I'm not just saying that. A Benbrook Police Internal Affairs ruling substantiated my claim. But it was a lot worse than they'll tell you. You just have to look at the body camera video. Who doesn't want body camera video? Transparency, truth and justice, accountability. I was a teacher. I wanted videos in my classroom. I asked for them. I didn't get funding. But who doesn't want them? Those who don't want the public to know the truth, like the city of Benbrook, Benbrook PD, leadership. We've always got some great officers in there, and thanks to the great officers. We work on behalf of them. My grandfather was a police officer, several cousins. I considered the career. I know several police officers, even on a force with corrupt leadership like Benbrook, several great officers. In addition, we have an attorney general who prioritizes going after transgender people than providing those videos to the public. They can be withheld for any reason. The city of Benbrook, go look at their city hall. Millions of dollars. They spent nearly $200,000 to bury power lines for about 300 feet for photo opportunities. So it looks good in pictures, right? Their excuse for not releasing body camera video to me was, we don't have the technological capability to redact video. Everyone here with a cell phone has the technological capability to redact video. What you don't have is a commitment to truth, justice, honor, respect for the public, and that dirty word that someone said, I think I've said it a few times, transparency.
Following Mr. Freeman, we have Robert Bucher. No, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Bucher here. All right, next we have Carla Palomares and Linda Hanratty.
My name's Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. Regardless of what any judge or the media says about Tarrant County being dismissed from the case of Anthony Johnson Jr.'s murder, the people know that Tarrant County is the most guilty for what happened on April 21st in the Tarrant County Jail. We know that this court and the sheriff are the most guilty for what continues to happen in the jail and through the extensions of the sheriff's office. We're not fooled by the attempts to derail community efforts to demand accountability. Every person on this dais must do their part to immediately release all unedited videos of the incident that led to the murder of Anthony Johnson Jr. and bring forward everyone from MHMR, JPS, and the Tarrant County Jail who are still yet to be held accountable for this tragedy. And you, Bill Wayborn, bring integrity to your office by resigning immediately. You can't afford us a day here to talk to the families and communities whose lives you're directly impacting. Tarrant County's jail, sheriff's department, needs a leader, not someone whose most notable trait is shying away in cowardice.
Ms. Hanratty present? No. Okay. Next we have Ariella Villa. Cassandra Johnson. Dr. Harrell. Following Dr. Harrell, we have Joe Palmer. Oh, okay. Come on up.
Good morning, team. My name is Cassandra Johnson, the mother of Traylon Wormley, who died inside of Tarrant County Green Bay Jail on July the 20th, 2022 from apparently a fentanyl overdose. 7 days before his court date. My son Traylon has special needs and traumatic brain injury. Team, Once he graduated from Mansfield Legacy High School, we had great difficulties getting him the help he needed. Team, hear my voice. I have lupus. Traylon died July the 20th, 2022. I had a surgery November 22, lost my mother August 23, and then had another surgery December 23. Yet I'm still here, and I need answers. Leaders, I found out along with 25 other incarcerated people, Traylon death was not investigated as required by state law. Tell me why. Leaders, it's still in question to why they kicked down my door, pulled guns, and when he had a fully charged monitor on his ankle that I requested. He was on a bond probation. Can you imagine a mental ill, disabled adult on a bond probation? I had to be there with him and help walk through this. After that, they took him out of his bed, and on March the 3rd, Judge Wolf denied his bond. We was making regular visits to court. Everybody knew about his mental health, his regular hospital visits, his therapy, his medication. They knew it. And Ed Jones was the paid in full attorney. Leaders, help me to understand. He was murdered on July the 20th inside of Tarrant County Jail. July the 27th is when he was supposed to go to court for a bond hearing. But yet I still got emails from the court stating that if he don't show up, a warrant will be issued for his arrest.
Thank you.
I showed up.
Dr. Harrell. Following Dr. Harrell is Joe Palmer.
I'm Harriet Harrell from the Justice Network, and my goal here is to talk to you about the budget process. I know that sounds like a very dry topic in the face of this emotion that we've all been experiencing today, but it can be the answer for so many of the questions and concerns that you've been hearing. So I have two suggestions that I would urge you to implement. The budget should be presented with a rationale. What I mean by that is that citizens should be shown how the budget of our tax dollars supports the priorities of the county. That means that we need to know what the priorities are. Ideally, those goals will be set with input from the citizens of Tarrant County in a strategic planning process. You need to know the values and priorities of those you represent in order to budget for the services they most need, and that requires interaction and listening. And then there should be a public presentation of the ultimate goals that you, the commissioners, are committing to address in the next year, and how the budget specifically supports those priorities. Last year, we heard the budget without any information about how it would impact services. Instead, this year, if there are increases in certain areas, provide an explanation from staff as to how those increases will help achieve your goals. If there are decreases, we need the same. What services will be cut or reduced, and how is that justified in light of priorities? We understand there'll be a public hearing in August, and this should be the time, if not before, that the budget is presented with the county priorities and the rationale for any budget increases or decreases, and then hear public reactions. The public needs time to be able to provide feedback and input. Last year, there were public comments allowed on the very day that you voted on the budget. That was a waste because there was no time for you to have any consideration of that input. I recommend that input from the public is allowed before the meeting in which there will be a vote. There should be some sense that comments are respected and there's time for you to actually consider them. It is, after all, the public which feels the impact of the budget decisions that you are making. And I look forward to seeing how the citizens of Tarrant County will be respected in the process of developing the budget.
Mr. Palmer, and then the next two speakers are from that closed session item, which would be Cassandra Johnson, if you would like to speak again, and Nan Terry.
We were told in the foyer that we couldn't be out there documenting the removal of individuals from the meetings just now. Someone just told me they heard Chief Driscoll tell other deputies that criminal trespass charges could be used against people for simply being in the area that has commonly had the same number of people before and after the meetings. I would like you to instruct that there be no interferences with citizens attempting to observe and/or document interactions with deputies. I'm here for my friend, wonderful and wonderfully made Mason Yancey. Upon finishing 8th grade, I believed that elections were the only thing needed to distinguish a republic or a democracy from a dictatorship. We now know this to be incorrect due to the fact that once an election is over and the individual is sworn in, they can become an outright dictator, particularly when others nearby with vested power do nothing, and particularly with the assistance of what can be described as a self-constructed paramilitary force more inclined to enforce colorable policies than actual law. We know that profanity is protected speech in America. We have abundant case law. That case law has been cited in these meetings, and yet the policy, known to be in direct contradiction to this law, has not been corrected. We have not course-corrected away from illegal policy back to the enforcement of actual law, which is what these individuals swore to do when they first took these positions. Exhibit A. Exhibit B was the removal of a properly licensed former law enforcement officer from the previous meeting for lawful carrying of a firearm. Exhibit C, the violent arrest of other individuals. D, the willful disregard and refusal to comply with the clearly written provisions of the Sandra Bland Act. Authority wielded by elected officials is based on trust. But when those among us trusted to hold society together through the enforcement of law are not only ignoring it, but breaking it in the case of laws that apply to them, while enforcing their personal policies on the people through arrest and jail time, then the trust disintegrates and we see what remains. Naked brutality, the advance of accumulation of power, and as we see in these meetings, the punishment of those for calling out the abuses listed. And the ugliest proof of this would be the complete lack of hesitancy to use these tactics, even when the irony and illegality involved in initiating violence against the people for calling out the violence is on full public display. It is fueling the situation when Janelle Johnson comes in here and accidentally uses the F word, and she's removed. You're just adding fuel to it. The Democrats are smoking us. I'm just going to say that. This is honest. They're going to get out of their house. They're going to go amp up and get people to the polls. This is not a political issue. That's why I come to these meetings. I didn't want to be here. I don't want to come down here and talk about these deaths. German law enforcement has an anti-knife suit. Why don't you buy that?
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, do you wish to speak? Ma'am?
Continuing. After being in jail for 6 months, Tarrant County moved him from the compound to Green Bay. And then the sheriff's office and illegal drugs be smothered into the jail to kill him. Leaders, I'm not standing here just. I did my part by helping my son, getting him to and from the doctor. I need answers. I need accountability. I need an investigation report that I was told that it will be investigated by third parties. I I need not to believe that this is something personal or got to do with politics. To learn that Detective Travis Wayborn stood in front of us and said that if he couldn't talk to my son by himself, that he will make sure the Mansfield charge get filed inside of Tarrant County Jail. I want to know that this is not personal. Break the cycle.
Ms. Terry.
His name is Traylon Wormley. He was 23 when he died in our jail. He was in our jail for 176 days. His manner and cause of death per the Tarrant County ME's office are accident and fentanyl toxicity. Contrary to the Sandra Bland Act, we have no outside investigation of this death. Final approval of a bill from the Texas 2023 legislature lets prosecutors pursue murder charges in some fentanyl deaths. Our DA has charged some with murder for dealing fentanyl resulting in death, but none so far for deaths in custody. I wonder if Traylon's death had occurred after the bill was law, would the DA have investigated as a murder? Or is a death in custody allowed under this bill? I don't know. Last year in 2024, Russell Quall and Roderick Johnson both died in our jail. The original ME lists manner and cause of death in both as accident, and the original cause of death for both as fentanyl and trazodone toxicity. Full disclosure, a later report from Mr. Qualls does not list any cause of death, nor is the report complete. Mr. Qualls had only been in the jail less than a day, whereas Mr. Roderick Johnson had been in the jail 136 days. For Traylon and Roderick, after 100 days in our jail, how did these men get the fentanyl that resulted in their deaths? Without an outside investigation, which we have of neither of these deaths, how will we know? More importantly, without an outside investigation, how are you going to provide justice to Traylon? Or how are you going to provide justice for his mother? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we move to announcements and comments from the court members. Any announcements or comments from members of the court? All right, seeing none, the court will now recess the open session and proceed to closed session to discuss items exempt under sections 55107, 072, 074, 076, 087, and 0725 of the Texas Government Code. We are in recess. The executive session will begin at 12:25.
Judge O'Hara, do you care to back up your claim? You can educate me on this issue. I'm finding ACLU
so just keep watching. Okay, thank you.
Okay, there. Wow, they're up. That was quick.
Still shows executive session. Thank you.
We good? All right. All right, we're back on the agenda after executive session. The only action needs to be taken is any motion related to item E1. Do we have a motion on item E1? I'll make a motion to authorize an additional $100,000 in funding on the Anthony Johnson case for Haynes and Boone.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on that. Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote. Raise your hand if you're an aye, a yes. Commissioner Simmons, you're a no? You're a yes, okay. All right, passes unanimously. That is all that we have today. Thank you for watching. Stay warm. We are officially adjourned. Bye.